First off, let's open up Carveco. Strange. So I know there's lots of programs out there to use. I kind of landed on Carveco Maker. It is a pay service. It costs $15 a month at the level I'm using. They have a lot of other higher end professional options as well, but it can get kind of pricey for these guys. But as far as creating the toolpaths, the only difference is going to be where the settings are in your particular software. Anything that makes a toolpath is going to have roughly the same controls. So I could do everything I'm going to do in this in Carbide Create pretty easily, which is free, I believe. I've never paid for it. I think it's free. But Carbide Create or Easel would probably do the exact same thing. I just rebooted my computer, so it's being a little slow. There we go. All right, we're going to make a new model here. I'm going to start with a 6-inch by 6-inch piece of wood. I'm going to make it, there's going to be 2 of them, and they're going to be 3/4 of an inch thick. So, and I'm going to also have my 0 point in the center. So let's start that. Okay, I prepared this earlier, but I'm going to bring in a vector. So I prepared this, but I also I did pay for the license on this as well, and then modified it a little bit. There was some text in here I pulled out. Shrink this down to, let's maintain the aspect ratio, and let's call this 3.5 inches. And then let's F9 to center it. And we're going to call that good. Now, I want to have a heart shape go around this. So let's start with a circle. And grab the center. And that's probably good. And we'll Control C, Control V, and I'm just going to use the right arrow. And what I'm trying to do is get where these 2 intersect right over the center line here. And there's a way to fix that later, but we're going to go there. Select just these 2 circles, and let's merge them together. Never had it take this long to merge. There we go. All right. So if we really want to make sure it's centered, I can F9 again. It's going to bring it down in the center, but then we can bring it back up to where we want it. Somewhere probably about there. All right. So then I want to make a line that goes from here to up here somewhere, and I'm going to try to get this in the middle and then bring it down till it connects to the tangent of the heart. So somewhere in that area. We're going to Control C, Control V, and then we're going to take up here in the mirror objects on the left hand side, and we're going to mirror center, and we're going to drag it till it connects to that one. Alright, so now if we connect this point to this point and grab these two vectors, right click, and we're going to join vectors with coincident nodes, and now we should have, no, okay, so maybe I can only do two at a time here. Join vectors with coincident nodes. Merge vectors. Very strange. Well, let's zoom in. We're just going to go to this mode here where we can select the, what's this called? Node editing. We're going to go to node editing. I'm going to select just these two nodes, and we're going to with coincident nodes. Oh, that's right. In this particular program, it comes up over here. We need to join here. And then so now these should be joined. We can shift click this top line and join those. And now we should have oh, let's take this and align it to that one, and then we'll shift click and join those nodes. So now these two should be joined, and then we need to join those nodes. Alright, so now we have, so I'm going to take and grab this node and bring it over till it snaps to that line. And I'm going to do the same thing over here with just this node by itself. And then I'm going to, someone's trying to get a hold of me. I'm going to select this, and so we have the top of the heart and the bottom of the heart. And so these circles still have these lines through here. We need to merge these together. So let's right click and merge vectors, and we'll just weld them. So we still have this little area here I'm not real happy about. So if we go into nodes and we can highlight this node, hit D and delete it, and D and delete this one. Now if we select this one, right click and smooth node, and grab this one and smooth node. Now we can turn this into more of a heart shape by pulling on the things here. So this gets a little close here. I don't want that, so I'm going to pull this side over. But to give this heart a little more shape, we're going to pull this one up like that. So I still don't like right here very much. So let's go back to let's even this out. I want this to be more rounded down to the bottom, so if we pull this one just a matter of tweaking these anchors until they get the nice curve shape that you want. And it's sort of like this, but I want to do one thing. And I want to pull this over here so that it feels a little better balanced. Maybe even a little more. Yeah, okay. I like that. That'll work. So let's grab all of this, and I'm going to hit Control G and then F9. And we're going to center it all up. So in a 6-inch piece of wood, if I click on the transform button here, we know that we are 4.75 by 4.8 inches. That's pretty good for a box. I think we'll be really good there. They'll give us some area around the edges to hold down if we cut an exact 6 by 6 inch piece of wood. So yeah, let's ungroup these and let's add some text in here. Zoom in, and we're going to add I love you. Let's do this. I love you. And forget about this. If you click off of it, it goes away until you hit create down here. It's one thing about this software that you get used to, like Adobe Illustrator or other things where you type and then you just click off and the type stays there. Well, this software doesn't. I'll show you in a second. I love you. And then we have to hit this create button down here in the lower right, or else it will go away. But before I create this, I want to change the font on this, and there is Engraver I like. It looks really good, and that came with this software. So let's create that where it's at. And I'll move this over here because you'll see in a minute what I'm going to do. So, and then, no, get off of that. We're going to do a new text here and just say mom. Now, I did it again, see? You get in a habit in one software, and then, oh, mom. And this I want to be, I forget what the font is. You can see I've got a lot of fonts. Nope, not Berkeley. Let's see. Bear with me a moment. We will find it here. Not Brush Script. No. Yeah, I need to, that's it, Lavender, that's one, okay. So now I need to make sure I hit the create button, or that'll all go away. But we're going to resize this by using this transform button over here. And if we hold the shift key down, it will make sure it stays in proportion. If I let off the shift key and I try and do that, because I have this clicked, it's locking it. Okay. If I undo this and then drag this, I can make it all cattywampus, but let's undo that. And I'm going to click maintain aspect ratio. Oh, if this is not clicked, if you don't have the aspect ratio maintained and you want to drag, if you hold the shift key down, it will lock the aspect ratio. So let's click this, and we will do something like, Yeah, let's make this just a touch smaller. So, and let's edit this and go like this. Oh, have to hit the create button. Anytime you do any changes, create. See, I don't like this spacing here, so let's go back to the text. And we can line spacing. We can, oh, I have to highlight what I want to change. And let's, oh, oh, it's in inches, that's why. All right, so I want minus 0.125. Oh. Working with text in this software is not super intuitive. Things are just a little bit different than they are in other software. Size inches, so points. That's still inches. Character. So if we change, what happened? There we go. Okay, one more time. Let's select this, highlight it all, and then let's, the character spacing is between the characters. I want the line spacing to be minus point. See, it changes up there. I can't do escape. I want to I can't do a point on the line spacing. That's interesting. Well, we can do this. We can do this. This is be pretty easy. Oh, back. All right, let's create this. And then if we want these exact same things, we can Control C, Control V. Now we have the exact same settings. And I can type U and create. And then I can set this however I want. So move the spacing about like that. Now we highlight these and move them over. Let's move this down a bit so that this and this kind of flow together. If I highlight these and hit Control G or right click group, and then we can use our arrows to just sort of get this position. Let's see. Yeah, I like it, except for I think I'm going to make this just a skosh bigger. And if we hold Alt, it'll go bigger from the center. And so I can keep it centered that way. If I were to just pick this and then grab this corner, it will register off of this corner. And so the opposite corner will stay in its place. And I don't want to do that because then I get off center. So you don't see, so this doesn't line up here anymore. So if I hold Alt and readjust. It'll stay centered where it's at, and I can make it slightly bigger, but it's bigger than I want. And I can then, and then I can select back over on this, and I can move it down just a bit. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay. So, yeah, at this point, let's make sure and save this. I'm just gonna, I already had one started, but I'm gonna just, overwrite that one. So, with this centered and everything, we cannot move anything now, because if anything moves, it can get out of whack. So I'm going to need to do a couple things. I'm going to take this, take all of this, and I'm going to group vectors, or Control G. So that's a group. Then I'm going to move this. I'm going to move vectors to a new layer. Just get them out of the way. So up here now we have a vector layer. I'm going to rename this to engrave. And we're going to make this layer invisible for now. Go back to the default layer. Okay. So we want to do a couple operations here. We need to make a pocket for everything to sit in, and we need to make a lip for the lid to register to. So let's take and highlight this, and we're going to do this offset vector, and I'm going to offset it 0.25 inches inward. Right, so that's gonna be my pocket inside the box. Now, if we offset outward half that distance, 0.125, 1/8 of an inch, that's going to be my lip line, where I cut for the lip for the top and the bottom. Now, if we cut them exactly the same, we're going to have to do sanding to make them slot together nicely. And what happens when you do that is it's really hard to sand in the corner, and I'll show you that when we get there. So I'm going to offset this inward now, 0.005, 5/10,000ths of an inch. So so on each side it's going to be 0.005 off. So the distance on both sides is going to be a 10,000th, right? 0.01. So let's offset that. Now it's going to look really small. It's just this little bit. But now when we make our outer lip, I'll use this line, this one here, and then when we use our inner, do our inner lip, I'll use this line here. So that way that there's a built-in slight tolerance to this lid. If you make it on the same exact line, any deflection in your bit, any deflection with your machine may make it so that it's too tight to fit. And then because this lip is going, well, I'll show you. So let's take, and first off, we want the top to slot down over the bottom. So on the bottom half, which is what we're looking at here, this is the bottom, because this is not a symmetrical shape, so we're going to do the bottom first. So the bottom, we're going to want to go outside this line and down. So we're going to want to carve out around the outside of this. So let's use a contour path. And then we are going to select 1/4 inch end mill. And we're going to go outside, and on our final depth finish depth is going to be, let me make sure I get this right, we want this to be 0.125 inches, 1/4 inch or 1/8 of an inch. Now when we cut the top, we're going to make it slightly deeper so that this doesn't, I'll show you. Okay, so no, we do not want bridges. And we're going to calculate that path now. Okay. Then on the inside of this one, we're going to want to do a pocket, and we're going to go back to a 1/4 inch end mill. And I'm going to do a raster, and I'm going to do a finish depth of 0.5 inches. So that, you know, we'll have a 1/4 inch on the bottom. And then I'll calculate this tool path out. So it's going to go back and forth, and then it's going to do around the edge for each layer. And so as you can see, it's going to do that several times. So, okay. Now I'm going to add one more thing here. I'm going to do another pocket. I'm going to add the 1/4 inch. I'm going to do a cleanup pass. And we're going to start at 0.48 and finish at 0.5. Okay, we're going to calculate. Well, we're going to change this to offset and I'm going to recalculate that. So now it's going to do a cleanup pass on the bottom. So anywhere that there's lines back and forth, now this is going to go round and round and round, and it should wipe out most of those. And it only takes a minute. So let's go to our tool paths here, and the profile tool path is the outer one. So we're going to call this bottom lip. It cuts out the lip on the bottom half. We're going to call this pocket. And we're going to call this pocket cleanup. Okay. Then we want to go to this outside. And now we're going to do an outside profiling for a cutout. Outside, finish depth. Let's define our material here. Call it 0.75. We're going to make the final depth 0.75. We're going to do it in a 1/4 inch end mill as well, so we can do all these in one. We can combine these tool paths and do them all in one go. We're going to add some bridges here. 3 bridges is good. Let's make them a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. I like that this does 3D bridges, so it doesn't stop, go up, cross, stop, go down, and then continue again. It'll just go up and over in a fluid motion. It starts and stops the machine a lot less. All right, we can add lead in and lead out moves and ramping moves, but I don't think it's going to be necessary. So let's add the bridges. I didn't add the bridges. Calculate. Oh, because I selected the vector, not the toolpath. Add bridges. Okay, so there's where our bridges are. I want to edit these bridges. I do not want a bridge in here. I'm going to have to sand off all these areas. So I'm going to put all these bridges on the outside where it's easier to sand. It's harder to sand on the inside of here. So I'm going to move this one around the corner here where I got a flat surface or an outside curve to sand off. If you put a bridge right in here, you're going to have to sand out that V, and it's a real pain in the butt. So you don't want to just let it put bridges where the computer thinks. All right, now let's calculate that. And we're going to call this one cutout. So let's right click and simulate all tool paths. And you'll see that we have the bottom of a box with a lip for the top to slot over. Now, what I was talking about was if you have to sand this surface right here because it fits too tight, it's really, really difficult to do that and keep this nice crisp edge right here that your machine's going to make. You end up sanding on this surface as well, and then you're going to get gaps in your box. So that's why we build in that little difference between the inside and the outside. Now, to also keep the top, when it slots down on here, sitting nice and flush on this line, When we cut this, the recess for this into the top, we're going to make it just a touch deeper so that it doesn't actually hit this surface right here, but it rests on this surface right here. And then, if we have to do any sanding on the top to make it sit nice and flat on here, there's room for us to do that. So, this is the bottom. That's easy done. You know, we could add inscription in the bottom here. In fact, why don't we? I mean, it's just one extra toolpath. It's not a problem. Let's turn off all these toolpaths so we can see. And let's add some text in here. I want to add text to that line. I don't want to do that. I want to just add text into the bottom. So let's do this. Happy Mother's Day 2020, no, not 2052, 2022. And then I'm going to up the size on this. In fact, let's, come on, grab that, there we go. I'm going to up the size on this just a touch as well. Now I'm 1/2 inch down inside this box when I got to carve this. So my start depth is going to be 1/2 inch down. And then I'm going to do, and I can't go too deep or I'll go through the bottom of the box. So let's create this. And then let's do a V-carve toolpath. Now, we need to, well, let's pick, I'm going to do just a 90-degree V-bit. I have a small 90-degree V-bit. 90. And our start depth is 0.5 inches. We want our maximum depth. In this software, the start depth is how far it subtracts before it starts. So we're going to start at the bottom of this box, which we've already said is 1/2 inch deep. Now, this maximum depth is the depth of the cut. So, we can't go more than 0.25 deep because the box bottom is only 0.25 thick. Okay? So I'm going to tell this to be 0.15 is plenty. There'll be plenty of strength. Even in these wider spots, that V-bit will go deeper, but I think we'll be okay with that. So, I won't do a roughing tool on this. I won't need it. So let's calculate that out now. And we're going to rename this to box bottom V carve, so that we know what it is. Now let's simulate all these toolpaths again, and then we have, when the box is open, it's going to say Happy Mother's Day 2022. Now there is a thing to be concerned about. Is my bit long enough to cut this without the collet hitting the side here? And I'm not sure it is. So I'm going to go back out of here, and we're going to redo this. We're going to grab the T, I'm going to go up, and I'm going to do this. Let's pull this toolpath off the screen. And so now this way, I'm going to give myself more around the wall of this box to fit. So let's create that, and then we're going to move it up into the middle, so that as this is cutting, I've got plenty of room for everything to fit. Now I might be able to reach 1/2 inch deep with my bit. When we get to the cutting, I'll show you, but I want to make sure. So let's take and calculate this now, redo that, and let's go to our 3D view. So now none of it lines up. I'm going to reset my simulation, and Simulate all toolpaths. And why do, oh, it kept that one. I'm glad I saw that. So it kept this toolpath as well. So let's delete that and let's rename this one box bottom V carve. And one more time, reset, simulate all toolpaths, and that's what we got. Okay, so that's going to be our box. You open up, it's going to say Happy Mother's Day 2022, and that's the bottom. We're all good. So I'm going to do something here, and I'm going to bottom lip, bottom pocket, bottom cleanup, bottom cutout. I'm going to rename this one just so that they're all consistent. Bottom V-carve. Okay, so that's all our bottom carves for the bottom of the box. No problem. All right, so for ease of use, I'm going to make the top also out of a 3/4 inch piece of wood, which will give me like a 1 inch. Give me a 1 inch. 1 inch area of storage inside this box, because if I basically make this lid in reverse, then we'll be able. So let's go back to this, and we're going to grab this one and this one and this one, and I'm going to Control C and I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go down here, get rid of that one, go down here, and I'm going to right click. I'm going to open a new window. New model. Same settings as before, 6 inches by 6 inches with our point in the center. So great. And then I'm going to Control V and I'm going to paste those 3 in there. Now it also kept my bridge points as well. But I need to flip this over. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to flip it on its center. I don't want to flip it on the right side over here. And I don't want to, flip it, left to right around one edge. I want it to flip right and stay centered. So we're going to center flip it. Okay. Now, with this, we can carve the top of the box. So, if I go back to this other one, and we go to the 3D view, we know the bottom has the lip on the inside, so the top's going to need the lip on the outside. So let's go back to the top view. And so we need the highest point on this box to be here because it's upside down now. So let's start by taking this and do a contour inside this. So we're going to go inside. We're going to go finish depth point 135. Well, yeah, so a 10,000th deeper. So when this carves this down, this is going to be deeper right here. This distance from this ledge to this ledge will be deeper than the height of this ledge to this ledge. So it'll sit on this lip here, and there'll be an air gap on this lip here. Sounds more complicated than it actually is. It's just a matter of thinking about this stuff in advance. So let's, I don't want bridges on this one, but I do want a 1/4 inch end mill. Select, calculate now. Okay, so we are going to have a problem. I can see already. So this is going to carve this. Let's do this. Simulate toolpath. Okay. It doesn't know how deep the box is yet, so it's cutting all the way through. But see how this, we want, this surface is the one we care about. This is going to be that slots down over the top. But see how this is an inside corner, so it can be sharp. But look at this. It's got to slot into this here, but because the bit's round, it can't cut down to a sharp point here. So there's a couple things we can do. We can carve it as is and then just sand that off later. It won't be a big deal at all. Or we can round off this other tool path beforehand. Right? So if I take and make a circle, and we're going to make the diameter 0.266 inches, just bigger than a bit. And then I grab that. Nope, that's not what I want to do. I want to grab this, and I want to move it here. And this is on the bottom box. Right? So I'm going to just get those lines close as I can. And then I'm going to take this snipper tool. I'm going to snip this off, this off, this off, and that off. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of a problem here, which we'll have to clean up. And maybe on the other side too. So let's let's see. Is this, so we want to join these points. So join quincent nodes. If I select this, well, let's grab these. Okay. And let's, oh, it's not letting me merge these two vectors. Okay. I grab this one and this one. Let's grab those nodes. We should be able to join vectors together. Okay. We're still going to have a problem here. So see this loopity loop and this loopity loop. So let's hit D. So not letting me delete that one. Let me delete that one. Let's see if we can remove this span, remove this span, and then okay, so those are not connected. So let's go back and let's merge, join vectors. All right. So when I click on down here now, it selects everything. But these are still not joined over here. So let's figure out what we've got. We've got this. So let's remove this one, remove this, remove this, remove this one. And let's see. close vectors with a line. Alright, so now this vector should be closed. So when I select that, and then so we have that vector. If I go back to, okay, so right, so we're going to run into another problem because this is an inside corner here. We got to make sure and change this one because that's an outside corner. So we're going to have to round this off, do the same thing here. Now, sometimes you can do this an easier way. So we need to be on this one. Sometimes you can do this. What's this called? This is called fillet vectors. So we're going to add a 0.25 fillet. Nope, the radius is too large and the lines are not parallel. Alright, so yeah, okay, so we'll go in here and we will take and make another 0.26 inch circle. And we will grab this thing. Nope, we'll go here. Delete that one. Grab this circle. And we're going to line it up as best we can. And we will see if, nope. Did we get it overlapping enough to cut that? Yeah, I'm going to cut this one, and this one, and that one. Alright, so once again, we have these goofy little things here, so let's cut that one, and that one. And then, if we take this, grab these 2 points, go back to our node editor and grab these 2 points, and let's join vectors with coincident nodes. If they're 1/10,000th apart, so let's join them. Now they're joined. And then if we take and select this and close, select this and, ooh, interesting. Alright, so we just need to make sure that these points are also joined so that the vector is closed. Appears to be. Okay, so now that that's done, we can take and open up this toolpath, which is going to go out here to make this corner. And we're going to select this, and we're going to recalculate. See, now it's rounding that corner off. So, if we reset our simulation on the bottom, and let's simulate all toolpaths, we now have a rounded corner here that should fit pretty close to the inside of how this one is going, or fit inside of here. Did I do that right? Yeah. Let's finish this thing up by making sure that's right. I might have done that wrong. and then delete simulation, simulate all toolpaths. So this is, okay, yeah. This is the outside. All right, wait a minute. So yeah, I can't get inside there. So that's why on this one, we need that to be rounded, because I can't cut this out, this inside corner. So yes, that is correct. Okay, so we have the inside cut out. Now if we select this and let's pocket this, and we're going to 1/4 inch end mill. We're going to make the finish depth 0.5. We're going to do a raster. We're going to calculate. Then we're going to go this again. We're going to make the start depth 0.48, finish depth 0.5, add a 1/4 inch end mill, and do an offset cut. And we're going to calculate that. So that's going to be the clear and the cleanup. I have a circle here that does not belong. All right. So that's the clear and the cleanup. So let's rename this lid lip, lid pocket, lid pocket cleanup. Okay. Now, one more thing to do. We need to select this. We need to do what's this called? Profile toolpath. On the outside, we want to select 1/4 inch end mill, and we're going to add the bridges. Calculate. Okay, use the existing bridge spacing already, which is fine. So let's simulate all toolpaths. All right, so now we have an exact mirror image of the bottom. That's a lid with space in it. So if we look at this, this steps outward, and we come to this other one. Then let's get a similar view, and this steps down. So the inside is up on this one, and the inside is lowered on this one. And that's all we need to do for that. So I'm going to take a break, and I'll come back later, and we'll show how to do the jig to hold this lid, because we're going to have to flip this lid over and carve on the top of it, which means that it's going to be pointing, the heart point's going to be over here. So you can do this with any odd-shaped box, but I'm going to take a break, and we'll come back. Okay, so we're back. So we've got the top and the bottom cut out. We need to go back to the bottom view, and let's center this up, and all right, so we can get rid of, actually let's take this outline, actually let's take basically everything inside of that, and let's move to a new layer. We're going to call this pocket, and we're going to make that layer go away. And let's make all of those go away. Okay, so let's turn on the engrave layer. Sure, let's make it red. Let's turn on the engrave layer. So, all right. So the top's going to look like this. It's going to be the same shape as the bottom, right? So I want to use the bottom heart shape. So if we select this and just do set this as well. Yep, okay. So let's V-carve. And let's just use 90-degree V-bit. And calculate. Oh, no tool selected. I thought I selected 90-degree V-bit. 90-degree V. Select. Oh, that was a roughing tool. Let's deselect that. We don't need a roughing tool. Calculate now. Okay, so this is a thing we run into a lot. And it's the tool path that I have was not set up very well. So let's ungroup these. Ungroup vectors. Alright, so let's grab this vector and we're going to use the vector doctor. Where is the vector doctor? Okay. Sometimes it doesn't tell us where there's the problem. It's usually on these weird ends like this, though. Oh, here's the vector doctor. It's off the screen. That's why. All right. So we're going to identify any problems. All right. So all these red dots are problems. So it's going to take a minute to figure out what the problem is. Well, let's just delete this vector, and delete this node, and delete this node, and identify again. Delete this node. Just keep doing this, and then let's clean this up. S to smooth that one. S to smooth that one. All right. So delete that node. Couldn't leave that sharp. All right, let's identify again. Okay, so we have one here, and so we just need to go in here and so sometimes I honestly don't know why this program, some of these nodes work and some don't. Sometimes I'll just try and smooth the node and identify. All right, so dang it. So it's a matter of just coming through here and finding all these little nodes and figuring out what the problem is. And sometimes you fix one and then hit identify and it becomes a problem again. And I don't know exactly what these problems are, but all right, So this is an obvious problem where it's crossed over like this. So let's put a node here and put a node here, and we're going to remove this span and this span and this span, and then we'll delete these, and then we'll reconnect this one with this one by close vectors, move endpoint. Okay, so we should be able to re-identify, and all of those should go away. So we need to do the same thing here. Let's take this and move it here, and take this one and move it here, and then we can remove this span and this span and this, and delete all of those, and then we will close vector there, and if we re-identify, all of those went away. So I don't know what the problem is here, so we'll just delete that one and delete that one, and give this a little more of a round, and let's try smoothing that one, see what happens. Still there. Let's get rid of this, and we'll just bring this back out. I don't understand what's wrong with that one. Okay, so we just work our way through this. Most vector files are not designed to be cut like this, and so the cutter software has to clear up any of these confusing issues. Before it can figure out a toolpath. There's probably some software nowadays that will do this. I haven't found it yet. So So off we go, just deleting all these extra vectors, and we will see like this one, I want to fix it because it's like all wonky anyway. Okay, we are getting there. Just a matter of taking this one step at a time. You see we got a couple up here, one here, and a bunch down here. Let's just delete a bunch of these. We can make this nice, straight, smooth edge without all of these. So this one's still a problem, but I think it's because this one's too close. Or maybe not. This one's a problem as well. So see, that moved us over to here. I think this span is too close. What we can do here, though, since this is a nice point, let's delete that one. Delete that one. Let's take this one and smooth it. And take this one and Nope. Well, we'll just put that like that. Let's identify and see if we... Okay, so we got rid of our problems, but we look all sorts of stupid here. So let's delete that one. And that's going to be small enough no one's going to notice. And to identify again, and get rid of that one. Okay. And just work our way through till we have no more little red dots. And we still have our shape. Alrighty, so let's see. Identify nothing. Alright. So now we should be able to group those back together. Let's V-carve them. Get rid of this doctor, and we're going to set this at a 90-degree V. Select. Maximum depth. Calculate now. Awesome. We're going to get rid of this V-carving. Delete. And then we're going to call this... so we called that the other lid, so we're going to call this top. Top engrave. And the other thing I want to do is I want to put a nice bevel around this. So we're going to take this and we're going to just do a contour path this time, or a profiling path, but we're going to go along the line. So we're going right down this line. And we're going to use also the 90V bit. And our finish depth, if we want to, yeah, so we're just going to go down like 0.125. Let's try that. And we do not want bridges. We're going to calculate that now. And then on this same vector, not this, but on this same vector, we're going to do a profile path, and we're going to go outside to full depth. We're going to go to with a 1/4 inch bit, and we're going to add bridges. And we're going to calculate that. And look, we even have our bridges in there, so we're good. So if we take and start with top bevel, and oh, this is already cut out. We don't need to do the profile path because we cut this out from the bottom side, right? So let's get rid of that one, and let's reset this simulation, and let's, okay, we can use this cutout, simulate toolpath, to simulate our outside shape. Okay, and we're going to use the top engrave to simulate that toolpath. And look at that. Oh, that looks nice. I like that. Okay, then we're going to use the top bevel. We're going to simulate that toolpath. That's going to give us this nice beveled edge. Now, because the bevel is following this perfect heart shape, but the contour could only cut in a little bit, we're going to have a little piece to sand out here. Not a big deal. But that's what the top will look like. So, all done, right? No, not yet. We have to do one more thing, because this beveled edge, we need it to be held precisely where it has to be. This spot has to be exactly where we know it. If we're off even a little bit, this bevel is going to look really crazy. So we're going to take the bottom. No, we're not. We're going to take the top. We are going to take the top. We want to make a hole that this fits in. And we're going to we're going to cut into a recess into a piece of MDF to slide this in, and then do this carving on top. Okay, so if we get out of this view and we have just this piece here, and we do a profile toolpath. But let's try something here. Sometimes this works. If we do a dog bone here, nope, it's not going to work on this in this case. Sometimes if they're not straight lines or not a perfect corner, those don't work very well. So we have to do something here though, because if we're going to cut a pocket for this to slide down into, the bit can come along and cut this inside, this corner here, perfect. But it can't cut this inside corner. It's going to leave a rounded area here. So I'm going to take this toolpath, and we're going to Control C and Control V. We're going to copy it. And then we're going to take and draw a circle right here. We need to make sure this gap is bigger than a 1/4 inch. Well, if this is a 1/4 inch, let's go a little bit bigger and put this circle there. and then we can move the circle like this a little bit. So this gap is much bigger than a 1/4 inch, right? So now we've turned this inside corner into an outside corner and an outside corner. Okay? So if we take one of these and we snip here and here and here, that, oh, Control Z, that went away. Okay, we're gonna do this a different way because there's actually there's two on top of each other here, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move this circle, and then we're gonna take and shift one of these, and let's just merge these vectors and weld them. So now the one vector, so we have our original here with the point, right? But we have this new one that we cut a recess out. When we cut this out, there's going to be this round pocket for this point to sit in. Okay, so now we're going to use 3/4 inch MDF as well, so we don't need to change that parameter. But if we take and pocket this out with a 1/4 inch, and it can be raster, and we're going to go to finish depth of 0.5 inches, and we're going to calculate now. All right, then we're going to label this jig jig pocket. All right, so what we're going to do is so how this works, and I'll go through this on the machine, but let me run through this real quick. So we're going to start off with let's get rid of this. Default layer. Okay. All right. So to start with, oh, I see. It pulled that vector down so if we take this and move to engrave layer. Okay. So if we so we're going to start off with a piece. We're going to cut this piece. Right? So we're going to use this reset simulation, and then we're going to simulate toolpath to cut the bottom lip. All right. Then we're going to cut the pocket. Right. Then we're going to do a pocket cleanup, which is just going to go back over those one time. So simulate that, then we'll do a bottom cutout and simulate toolpath, and that can all be done in one operation with one tool change. Well, no tool changes. Okay. Once that's done, before we take it off the machine, we're going to change our bed over to a 90V, and we're going to do the V-carve. Oh, okay, let's see. So yeah, and it's going to run this operation. My light is right over that. Let's just speed this along. Okay. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Then we're going to take and put the other piece of wood on, and we're going to run this. We're going to run these tool paths here to make this piece. Then we'll take this piece off and cut it, clean it up. Okay. Then we will come back to this and reset simulation and put a piece of MDF onto our spoil board. and we'll run this toolpath. We'll just make this. Without moving our 0, 0 point, right, our Y0, X0, without moving it, we're going to take that lid, we're going to take this piece, flip it over so that it fits into this pocket. And it'll wedge down in there nicely. If not, we can put some shims in and wedge it. But it's going to sit in there and hold itself very well because it's going to be a very tight friction fit. Okay? Once that piece is in there, we will have, let's see, let's do this real quick. We're going to have that top that we cut the pocket in flipped over. In that piece, it's going to simulate toolpath. Let's do this simulation. Delete waste material. Oh, yeah, see, because those bridges won't do that. Anyway, all right, so none of this is here, but this top will be carved on the inside. On this side, it'll be all carved out. We'll set it into that jig pocket we cut, and then we can run this toolpath. Oh, I can't see up under there. There we go. We can run this toolpath and the beveling toolpath with it in that jig, and then we can pull it out of the jig. There's one thing that generally happens when I make those jigs like this, though, and that's that once this gets jammed in there, it doesn't come out very well. So I tend to do one more operation on the jig. So let's reset this simulation. Let's go back to here. Let's turn off this layer. We're going to do one thing here real quick. We're going to take and just make a square. And create that. And we'll just drag it over here. Well, let's drag it here. Control C, Control V. And then grab it by the middle and drag it over here. Okay. So what are these squares, you might ask? Well, these are going to be pocketed out. Actually, let's pocket both of them together. And we're going to add a 1/4 inch end mill, select. Now we're going to go to a different finish depth. So when we make this jig, this bottom is 1/2 inch below this bottom, right? So we're going to want to make these pockets slightly deeper. And I'll show you why. So if we go to it's 0.75 deep, so let's go 0.65. Calculate now. All right. So let's simulate the jig, and let's simulate this toolpath. So you can see what we have here, right? What we do is when we slide that piece in here and it sits nice and tight down on here, it's almost impossible to get out. But what we've done is we've created 2 little pockets underneath that we can stick a flat screwdriver or a flat chisel, and we can pry upward and slowly pull that piece out without damaging it. I have done this before and had this piece held so tight in there that I had to cut the MDF off of it. And there's no point in doing that if we don't have to. There's one other thing that I generally do, just in case, and that is I will take and do, let's go back to this layer. I will do just a tiny, just a little circle, right? And enter. What's our size on that? Let's do a 0.125 diameter circle. And let's go F9 and center that. So this new circle is directly on the center. All right. And if we take this and we tell it, what we're going to do is we're going to cut this out, right? And we're going to put the lid in there. And the lid in there is going to use a 90-degree V-bit for all its operations. So if the last thing we do here is swap out to the 90V, and so we just do a little, well, we don't want to do a V-carve. What we want to do is a drilling toolpath. We just want to just drop down in there. So 2D toolpath drilling operation. This is ½ inch down, so the start depth is 0.5. And then the bottom depth is 0.55. Calculate. Oh, we set the tool. The tool is going to be this 90V. Calculate. All right. Let's see. What does our thing look like? Okay, so we're good. Let's simulate toolpath. So now, see that little tiny just dot for a center? We can now stick. We can put this back on. If we square this up with our bed and put it back on the machine for another time to make a second one of these boxes, right? We can now find center. All we got to do is put a V-bit on and get it dialed in right to that. And we can get it within a 10,000th of an inch or better. And so this way we'll always have a center mark if something ever happens while this is clamped down. We can always find center of it. All right. And so we're going to clamp this piece down, we're going to cut it, and then without moving anything, we're going to do the lid. So that's all we need from here. So take me a minute to turn on my other computer, and I will I'll show you how we set up these tool paths. And so give me a minute, I'll be right back. Okay, so I have the computer started. So we're going to start with this one, and let's save our tool paths. So how I do it on this is I'm going to browse. This is on my garage computer up here. So let's go to Documents, and I have a folder, and I call this new folder Mother's Day box. Alright, so we'll open that folder. Then I'm going to start. So this has a naming convention that's really cool. So I can give a file name, and then I can click this button and append the toolpath data details to the names. So we're going to start with bottom. So I'm going to call this bottom, right? And we're going to start with lip. Then we're going to add the pocket. Then we're going to add the pocket cleanup. These are all 1/4 inch end mills. And then we're going to add the bottom cutout. Okay. And that's going to save with that information. So let's save. And then let me open that folder for you, and I'll show you what these look like. Because it's pretty cool how it does this. So I typed in bottom, and so it's going to add the first toolpath's name, so bottom lip, end mill 1/4 inch. A lot of times I'll come back in here and I'll just label these A1. So first piece A, operation 1. Okay, so let's remove all these. Now we have the bottom V carve. This is the letters that are going in the bottom of the box. Just put that in by itself, and we'll just leave this name bottom. It will change the file name over here. So when I save that one, if we go back over here, now it says bottom V carve, small V bit, 1/4 inch, 90 degrees. And so now I can call this A2. And I know that's my second operation. Okay, let's pull that out. Now we do okay. So the next operation is going to be off of this one. Okay, so and these are all 1/4 inch. So let's save this. And this other version of Carveco comes up with the same information, but we're going to call this lid. We're going to pin the toolpath, and these are all 1/4 inch. So we want the lip, the pocket cleanup, then the profile. So these are all in the right order as well. So let's save that. And then I go back over here. This is part B, operation 1. Okay. The next thing I want to do is, so I came back to the other one, to the first one. Next operation I want to do is the jig. So we're gonna I need to do one thing real quick. Jig pocket is this pocket. Area clear are these. So we're going to call this jig release. And we're going to call this one jig centering. Okay, now let's go back to this one, save toolpath. So jig pocket and jig release are both 1/4 inch end mills. So we're going to call this jig, add the toolpath names, save. Come back over here. So we're going to cut the bottom out, carve it. Cut the top out, make the jig. Let's C1. And let's pull these off, and we're going to do jig centering. Pin toolpath, save. So I know it says jig centering, but it's fine. It's hard to miss. It's hard to get the wrong toolpath when you have the file label and the toolpath label both saying jig on it. You know that it's for the right thing. So this is operation C2. Okay, so 3/4 inch piece of wood for the top, 3/4 inch piece of wood for the bottom, 3/4 inch piece of wood for the MDF. A, B, and C. Okay, now we need the top engrave and top bevel. So let's remove everything and top engrave, top bevel, move those over there. We're going to call these art. Okay, so this is the top. They're both 90-degree V-bits, so once we get done with the jig centering, which is also 90-degree V-bit, we don't have to change the tool. We just need to put the piece in. Everything can stay centered. We just redo the Z-axis and start cutting. Save. So let's go back in here, and this one labeled art is D1. This sounds very complicated, but it's not as bad as it sounds. So now everything's actually in order of us what to do. So we do this tool path, change parts, change wood. Do this tool path. Do this tool path. Do this tool path. And these ones between this one and this one, we will not even recenter anything. We will just reset. We won't recenter our X and Y. We'll stay on the same center. So when we put this piece from here upside down into here, I'll show you. This will all make sense as we go to cutting. And you'll see how much this kind of preparation will help make it quick and easy. And so, honestly, we spent quite a bit of time going through all this, but I can crank one of these out in about 15 minutes because it's just, I've done it a few times now. This is essentially the same process I use when I'm making my hex boxes. But I have a hex box jig already set up so that I can re-zero with new lids on it all the time. And if that's something for repeatability, I can show you how to do that on some other project. So anyway, all right. Well, all our toolpaths are saved. Let's save our projects and cancel and save this one. Yes, save changes. And there we have it. We're off to the cutter. So we will do that next.